out of Tokyo. Of course, he is 33-0, I think, with like 23 or 24 knockouts. I think he might be better than Noah Inoue. People say to me, man, you must be smoking a whole lot of weed or worse than that to think that. But I really do. To think anybody is better, especially in Japan, than Inoue is probably insane. But I think Hunter Nakatani, when they fight, is going to beat him. I'm saying it right now. This is probably 2 years before the fight happens. Straight up, we've got open phone lines around the planet. 1-800-878-PLAY. That's 1-800-878-7529. We return. We'll talk about my trip to Malaga, Spain, and Marvin Hagler. In fact, maybe we'll hear Marvin Hagler as well. Straight up, you are tuned to Ring Talk Live worldwide on Sports Byline.
Kohl's has 20% off gifts that are so good, your family might think you read their minds. Check off your list now with cozy, thoughtful, and stylish gifts that will make them say, oh, how did you know? Yep, with these presents from Kohl's, you're gonna leave them feeling impressed and convinced that you're a psychic. Shop Kohl's for an extra 20% off gifts that are the perfect fit. Select styles. Offer ends November 22nd. Some exclusions apply. See store or kohls.com for details.
This is a true, sad story for ADT, the leader in home security systems. My favorite dog, Oliver, was stolen from our garage recently. If I had a camera system installed in my home from ADT, I would have known exactly what car possibly pulled up in my driveway and stole my little friend. If I had a security system from ADT, my dog would still be here. I called ADT this weekend, and they're coming out in a few days to install a camera and a new security system. Unfortunately, it's a little too late for me. Listen, protect everyone you love in your family. Call ADT now. Have them come out and give you a quote to install a full security system in your home. Don't let it be too late for you. Call right now.
Paid for by the Home Security Hotline. 800-361-3491. 800-361-3491. 800-361-3491. That's 800-361-3491.
Have you suffered sports betting losses? There is someone who wants to fight for you to see you get back what you have lost to those sports betting companies. Michael Watts is a prolific trial lawyer with over $11 billion in total recoveries for his clients. And now with sportsbettingclaim.com, he'd like to help you. Michael has been a leader in some of the largest and most complex cases in the country, from defective cars and tires to damaging drugs and medical products. He has always represented the rights of individuals harmed by large corporations. His efforts recently resulted in the recovery of billions for individuals who lost their properties to fires carelessly caused by electric companies and others. Michael knows that sports betting companies preyed on and manipulated consumers into losing their life savings, and he wants to make them pay. If you have suffered financial hardship as a result of online sports betting and would like help seeking compensation, please submit your claim information for evaluation at sportsbettingclaim.com. Michael Watts is focused on winning for you. sportsbettingclaim.com.
This Thanksgiving at Total Wine & More, find bourbons and Cabernets that you adore. Our helpful guides are so friendly and nice. So many bottles to try at the lowest price. So gather with friends as you sit down to eat. Grateful for all who made Thanksgiving complete.
With the lowest prices for over 30 years, you'll always find what you love and love what you find. Only at Total Wine & More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Now, more of Ring Talk with Pedro Fernandez.
And I just want to be respected for my era, to be mentioned in the name of Ray Robinson and Marvin Hagler and Ray Leonard, and to be mentioned in the top 4 and the top 5. Wherever you put me at, wherever history put me at, I am grateful and humble to be there.
The Executioner, Bernard Hopkins. Of course, part of Golden Boy Promotions as I speak. Straight up, you are tuned to Ring Talk Live worldwide. You're inside looking at the world of boxing and MMA. Let me tell you about Marvin Hagler, Spider Bynum, Don King, and the Hotel from Hell. Of course, back when I was a boy wonder of the boxing press corps, I was beyond lucky to travel to places that I could never imagine being. Talk about Malaga, Spain, no, that wasn't my favorite spot. Flying in circa 11 p.m., President Jose Sullivan of the WBC had a car waiting, and of course, he was there to greet me at the hotel when I arrived at this five-star hotel that I would soon call the Hotel from Hell. Looking up at a not-so-pretty maid. Question mark? What are you talking about, Pedro? The luxury ended real early on this trip. A hotel maid, are you ready for this? She woke me up and wanted to know what time I was getting up so she could clean the room. I kid you not. Listen, this lady is standing over me in bed at 10:30 in the morning. Stunned, groggy, and jet-lagged, I booted her out of my room without, getting physical or calling her any names. But the bottom line is I was pissed. Anyway, returned. I was ready to hit the streets of Malaga, Spain, a place I'd never been before. So when I hit the hotel lobby after noon, the hierarchy of the WBC, the World Boxing Council, was present, as was many WBC champions, past and present, including Marvin Hagler. Marvin and me go back and forth on 3 different continents, folks. That is a story in itself. My differing rapport with Marvin Hagler before and after retirement. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I'm back to sunny Malaga, Spain. This being my first European junket, of course, I slept late in the hotel. I guess I left about 1 p.m. I'm walking to town center, and the entire town is dead. There's nobody there. It looks like a neutron bomb went off. Maybe what's going on here? It was a siesta. Listen, they all went to sleep. Where they had the siesta, they closed all the shops. Everything was closed for this siesta in Spain. So anyway, I was like mind blown. I couldn't believe it. People had told me about it. I didn't believe it. Anyway, so I'm an ex-San Francisco policeman, and I'm talking to a Malaga, Spain policeman. So I come across a policeman. I told him I was a former San Francisco policeman who wanted to know where to go. Broken Spanish aside, he tells me there's a bar that I might like. Okay, end quote. Listen, I walk into the bar, it had upside-down bar stools. Do you know what I mean by that? So I walk into this bar without looking around and order a soda. The bartender, he has a bit of a twinkle in his eye, and I immediately realize there's 2 guys for every guy, meaning it was a gay bar. Hey, exit stage right. Big WBC convention party that night. With a semi-formal dress code in effect, I decided on a white suit. And as soon as I got there, this brimbo, I call a brimbo as a brown bimbo. A bimbo is a white bimbo. Anyway, bottom line is this brimbo bumped into me with a drink, and folks, the evening was just getting started. I kid you not. And no convention back in the day no convention was a convention without Don King being there, or the King of Naps, as I named him. Anyway, the party's going smooth. Speech time where President Sullivan, he greeted the guests of the convention goers, and he introduces Don King. And Don King's waving his $50,000 bills around, $50,000 and $100 bills around. He's going to give this to Spanish charity. So he's 10 feet off the stage, 10 feet off the stage, 10 feet on the stage, 10 feet off the dance floor, and he's drunk. He is drunk as a skunk. Not sloppy, but drunk. So I tell Jose Sullivan, look, Don King's 1 step away from stepping off that stage. And right then and there, Don King topples over and hits the concrete floor 10 feet below with a big thud. Are you ready for this? King hit the cement floor head first and is bleeding, and yet he never dropped one of the 500 $100 bills he was holding. Bleeding and nearly unconscious, Don King didn't drop a single $100 bill. The Hotel of Hell, and I fell asleep on the air. I kid you not. The WBC set up 3 phone lines so I could do Ring Talk Live worldwide, live from Spain, which is a novel idea, but there was a 9-hour difference. I was probably drinking back in those times. Might have been. No, I don't think so. Not for that trip. But the bottom line is I fell asleep during a commercial break. And I woke up to the producer screaming, Pedro, wake up, wake up, wake up. Anyway, so I woke up. But the final night, we had a WBC cruise. Right. The man pictured with me, of course, one of my mentors. I wrote this article for Facebook, but one of my mentors was the late Dallas attorney, Texas Arlen Spider Bynum. For the record, everybody on this cruise was buzzed except me. I remember that. Everybody was buzzed except me. I wasn't drinking that night at all. I don't drink much at all, but back then I did drink on occasion. Anyway, my introduction to cigars was forthcoming. They are handing out Cuban cigars, most notably the favorite stogie of then Cuban leader Fidel Castro. And look, I have never smoked a cigar, probably the impeccable one either. So anyway, I asked Spider Bynum, how do you smoke a cigar? He says, puff that cigar just like a joint. I said, Spider, are you sure? He said, Spider said, just like a marijuana cigarette. So I took a long drag off the cigar. My world began to spin like a merry-go-round at 65 miles per hour. I kid you not. To say I got instantly sick was an understatement, and Spider instantly knew he had mucked up. Couldn't stand, couldn't walk, couldn't even talk much. Now, I haven't had a drink all night, and the conventioneers are walking off the boat past me, sitting in a chair thinking, Pedro is drunk. But wait, the nightmare wasn't over. The plane leaving Malaga, Spain the next day was overbooked, and being the lucky guy that I haven't been this entire trip, they rebooked me on a flight that was 14 hours later without telling me. Not returning, not even free. So the lady at the ticket counter says, Mr. Fernandez, we overbooked your flight. Would you like to go back to your hotel and stay a free night? Not even for free. Straight up, you're tuned to Ring Talk Live Worldwide. Marvin Hagler and I, when I think about Marvin, I think about the fact that all of the fights that he had in Las Vegas, I got to be part of his training camp. In other words, I got to spend time in Johnny Taco's gym. Of course, Johnny Taco, the late Johnny Taco, ran Johnny Toco. People called it Taco, but his name was spelled Toco, T-O-C-C-O. Anyway, his gym was made in Charleston, Las Vegas, out there in the desert. Of course, it was hot, it was sweaty, there was no air conditioning. I think he had a fan. That was probably about it. But the bottom line is, Marvin went there to finish up his prison sentence. That's what he called training, a prison sentence to him. Okay, so he's finishing up his prison sentence for the Duran fight, the Leonard fight, the Hearns fight, and the Roldan fight. I think I saw him in the Mugabe fight. I think I saw him train for all 5 of those fights. Of course, that was in Taco's gym. But each time he trained, he was dedicated beyond belief. I mean, Marvin was focused like no fighter I've ever seen in my life. I mean, that's why he was as good as he was. You could not break his focus, except when Ray got under his skin. Of course, Ray Leonard got under his skin. Tommy Hearns sort of buckled him a little bit. Let me tell you, the best fighter you ever thought, though, best fighter you ever fought, he said, was Roberto Duran. But let me tell you this. When you got under, Marvin Hagler wanted to be the best puncher. He wanted to be the best boxer. He wanted to be the best of everything. He wanted to excel in every aspect of boxing. In other words, when he fought a puncher, he wanted to outpunch the puncher, like John Mugabe, the Beast. I mean, the Beast was undefeated in like 25 or 30, almost 30 fights. He was like almost all knockouts, knocking everybody dead at 154 pounds. He stepped up to 160, doesn't risk his title, gets a big money fight with Marvin Hagler. Of course, that was, I think, 1987 there. In 1980, it was 86. It was 85. Was it 85 or 86? Take that back. What was Leonard was 87. So Hearns and them were 86. So anyway, bottom line is, no doubt about it, one of the greatest fights of all time. When you look at the fact that Hearns and Leonard and Duran and Hagler, all these guys came together. They call them the Four Kings. There's no doubt about it. It might have been the greatest generation of boxing ever. Now, why do I say that? Because I took part of it, because I was the boy wonder of the boxing corps back then. Probably some bias involved there, but I dare you to compare another generation and say this is better. Currently, not the current generation. I mean, come on, we got people like Jake Paul. I mean, that's what Jake Stich Duran said a little bit earlier. If a fighter was to pack 60,000 people into a stadium, a boxer would pack 60,000 people into a stadium in this country. It'd have to be one of these celebrity star type of guys. The real boxer couldn't do it. But yet last night we had 60,000 people in a soccer stadium in the UK to watch boxing. But they get it over there. They love boxing. They live it. They breathe it. Bottom line is, we don't do that over here. In other words, the world of sports is so diluted over here with the NBA and the NFL and Major League Baseball and the UFC now. Speaking of the UFC, of course, a lot of these bets come in the UFC. People are wondering about these bets. And, there's a referee, I think his name is Jason Herzog. I believe that's his name. Some of his decisions have been called into question. In fact, I looked at that one fight he had with Henry Cejudo and the Chinese fighter. Of course, the Chinese fighter, they wanted him to win because, the Chinese fighter, if he wins, they're going to take over. Dana's looking to take over China as far as MMA is concerned. And that's the way he does it with Chinese stars, right? So I have this Chinese star and against the former two-division champion in Henry Cejudo. So he pokes Henry Cejudo in the eye, the most blatant eye poke you ever saw in your life. In other words, he pokes him. It was unbelievable. So this eye poke's going on, and Henry can't see. He keeps telling the referee, I can't see. So when the referee is told he can't see, the referee is supposed to stop the fight. It's incumbent upon the referee at that point in time to stop the fight for the fighter's safety. At least call the doctor and let him say, he doesn't want, he can't see. What should I do? Put it on the doctor, okay? He didn't do that. Instead, he let the fight go into the 4th round. Once it went into the 4th round, it was official. Once it went into the 4th round, it was official. In other words, they can go to the scorecards, and the Chinese fighter was the winner. That's the way I think that was choreographed. I think that was part of Jason Herzog trying to do something right for the UFC establishment. I think there is a UFC establishment. I think it's an underbelly of the UFC. Now, I am not of the opinion that a lot of UFC fights are fixed, but I'm of the opinion that there are a decent number of UFC fights that have been fixed. I mean, that's just my opinion. I mean, when you're paying guys nickels and dimes, in other words, he's risking his life three times a year. Imagine this: the guy's fighting some killer. It ain't like a boxing match. He's fighting some stone cold killer that's going to try to elbow his face into like broken bones. Okay, that's what he's going to try to do.